Welcome to the Kessler Law Firm podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kessler. I've been a criminal defense lawyer for more than 35 years, mostly here on Florida's Treasure Coast. We're waiting today on the results of the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis, and everybody is calling this the trial of the century. And it made me think about all of the other trials of the century, because every few years there's another trial of the century. Certainly in the mid-90s, O.J. Simpson was the trial of the century. I'm told that before that, Bruno Hauptmann, the Lindbergh baby kidnapping case, was the trial of the century. Before that, it was Leopold and Loeb was the trial of the century. In the 1970s, Patricia Hearst and the Symbionese Liberation Army was the trial of the century. More recently here in Florida, Casey Anthony was the trial of the century. I guess that helps the media to hype cases like that. I like to believe that every time I take a case to trial, it's the trial of the century. It's certainly the most important case going to trial for that client of mine, and I need to treat it as if it were. I didn't watch a lot of the Casey Anthony trial. Mostly what I gained from the Casey Anthony trial was a private investigator. My good friend Jerry Lyons, who you'll meet here on one of our podcasts, is a retired New York City detective, and he actually worked as the lead defense investigator for Casey Anthony's defense team. I've worked with him on lots of cases myself over the years, and he's one of the very best investigators I've ever worked with. I learned more, I think, from the O.J. Simpson trial because I watched most of that. I remember like it was yesterday, the shocked look on the face of local prosecutors after the verdict. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised at all. I thought the prosecution did a terrible job in that case. I don't think they used the best lawyers they had. But if they did, the lawyers they had were just not very good and didn't do a very good job. The defense, on the other hand, was, honest to goodness, an all-star team, a dream team of lawyers. Johnny Cochran was fantastic. F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro did a wonderful job at their roles in the case. Barry Scheck was great in the DNA evidence, and it helped that they had so much to work with. I mean, I'm looking forward to the time when I try a case and the key piece of evidence was alleged to have been found by a police detective, and nobody else saw him find it. And by the way, the detective had already filed and litigated an attempt at early retirement through workers' compensation, I suppose, claiming that he could no longer work as a police officer because of his inherent racism and bias against African Americans. Yeah, that was a lot for the defense to work with, and it was an uphill climb for the prosecution, but if they could make a mistake, they did, and they never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Big trials like this can be great learning experiences for lawyers and for future jurors. It's fascinating to watch, and it never fails. Everybody's a critic. I would love to share with you some of the comments I've heard about the prosecutor and the defense attorney, the two teams in the Minnesota police officers case, but they're not really fit for this medium. So I'll share those for barroom conversations. Anyway, thank you for joining us on the Kessler Law Firm podcast, this edition on the crime of the century, the trial of the century. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. You can find us on social media, on YouTube and other places. And if you like us, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again soon.